Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. With Star Citizen 4.0 somewhat out the door, what is coming next for the persistent universe when Cloud Imperium get back to work? As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members, in particular to my latest patron, Shoku, and to my many new channel members here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for the support. Cannot do it without you. So, Star Citizen 4.0 has had a very bumpy beginning, with many issues for many players, some of which have received hotfixes throughout the holiday period, and to learn more about those fixes, do watch my previous video that I will link below. But there is still a lot left to do when Cloud Imperium returns to the offices. This will include fixing what we have now with the various bugs, but also continuing to work on further fixes for other issues, refactors for important systems, and a lot more content. So today I will be running through what we can expect to see come along once Cloud Imperium return to work, starting with 4.0 and moving out further. Before I do, there is only a few days left now to get the TOBII Tracker 5 at 20% off, with the deal ending on January the 3rd. And using the link in the description below will take you to that deal, while also providing my channel with a direct kickback. And a huge thank you to all of you who have done so already. So as mentioned, when Cloud Imperium return to the office, their first priority will be fixing the bugs that we have been dealing with since 4.0 went to the preview build. Now this includes issues with instanced hangars, black 30k screens, the prison bug stopping you from leaving, issues requesting ships, issues with inventory and missions, and everything else. Now the reason why 4.0 was released to the current preview state, rather than just a typical live release, is because these bugs still existed, and they will have a ton of issue council reports and data to come back to get working on to sort them out. Now some of these may come in another 4.0 hotfix patch if they are quickly solvable and efficient to roll out, but there will also most likely be a 4.0.1 patch that will hopefully fix many, if not all, of these problems. Now, a 4.0.1 build could contain the features that had slipped from the original 4.0 release, like engineering and charge and drain, but I don't think it will. I think it is far more likely that they will use 4.0.1 to just focus on fixing and rectifying these problems first, as there are many issues right now. Now, hopefully this 0.0.1 patch can come along around early January, get those fixes out as quick as possible, and once that build is out the door, if there are still major issues with certain features or systems, then we will likely see a 4.0.2 build to further target those problems. But if all is good and they have managed to resolve them, then 4.0.2 will potentially include the features that were kicked from 4.0's original release window, which include things like engineering, the transit refactor, and the charge and drain feature. Now, of course, I don't know exactly which build or dates these are going to come. They could ultimately release in a 4.0.3 build if they require a lot more work, which certainly could happen, but I do not expect engineering to be a 4.1 feature for around March, rather within a 0.0 point patch for around January or February. And if you are unaware, engineering will bring the ability for players to fully tune their ships using the physical components, with each component capable of degrading over time or through use. They can malfunction and take damage and will need to be repaired or swapped out. Now this will also include life support and fire, so a big system that I am personally very excited for, especially when it comes to things like multi-crewing, but also just general day-to-day maintenance of my ship and vehicle, giving me more of a personal feeling and a personal touch with every single one of my vehicles. The transit refactor is a big one that we so desperately need, as this will be taking the very old and pretty much non-functional system that handles things like elevators, trams, and the air traffic controller system, and creating it in a way that will not just work with how the game is now and going forwards, but will also allow CIG to fix the issues that we see with it and continue to maintain it throughout Star Citizen's development. And then the charge and drain feature that slipped will introduce many more missions that are non-combat orientated, requiring players to fix up and repair items found around Pyro's points of interest. Eventually these missions will come to Stanton as well, but I think initially it'll just be applicable to the Pyro system. but essentially it will give players a lot more to do in a single location without feeling the need to move on anywhere else, giving us a focus on FPS industrial style or handyman style missions. Now, all of this, so getting 4.0 into a proper live release ready state, is more than enough to keep Cloud Imperium busy once they get back to it for quite a duration. But there is more in the works for the very near future that will hopefully come along with 4.1 and 4.2, and I also suspect that they may go back to the normal release cadence with static server meshing now out the door, meaning 4 quarterly releases a year, being the end of March, end of July, end of September, and end of December. The only reason they changed to a very sporadic release schedule was because a lot of it was important core tech that they just could not put a date on releasing those features. So I am expecting to see a 4.1, a 4.2, a 4.3, and a 4.4 throughout this year. Of course, this is just my opinion, but to me, this is the most likeliest approach moving forwards. Now, what we will most definitely see throughout this year, and for the foreseeable actually, are further server meshing optimizations and testing different configurations, also pushing the player counts and moving from static server meshing to dynamic, which is the end goal. Now, I don't know how long it will take to get to a fully dynamic mesh, but it was mentioned a little while ago that the 4.0 build is not just static server meshing, it does contain many elements required for dynamic meshing, so I do certainly expect to see dynamic meshing come along this year, and hopefully sooner rather than later, as this will be the foundation of the game, those 12 pillars finally finished and implemented. Again though, they will most definitely continue to optimize and test better ways to utilize the tech and push that player count further. Now let us talk about missions briefly. With Star Citizen 4.0, the mission system refactor was completed, but as we have seen, this clearly brought with it its own issues and bugs, with missions initially not completing or updating, and then all missions just completely disappearing for a short duration. So they will continue to polish this new mission system, but also begin rolling out the dynamic mission system to all the other mission types. Now we can see with the hauling missions, these are utilizing the dynamic mission system. This is why when you complete each mission, you unlock further ranks and you begin to see tens and then hundreds of new missions become available. The same will happen to the other mission types, but most likely incrementally and not all in one go. But these will be great for expanding on the available things that we can do in game, and when it comes to reputation, allowing us to really grow our character, unlocking better paid jobs, more unique jobs, while also getting rewarded with more than just credits. Now again, whether we see more updates to the new mission system and dynamic mission system in 4.1 or 4.2 or beyond is too hard to say, but I do 100% expect to see many more missions getting hooked into these systems throughout the year, and I do personally expect it to be early this year rather than the latter half. Now, another very important system that is in the process of getting refactored is the social system refactor. This handles things like the party and friends aspects, VoIP or voice over IP, and potentially beacons and other things as well. This will allow them to have better control over all the social aspects of Star Citizen, easier maintenance, and the expansion of the system's features as well. They will start by fixing what we currently have with partying up and VoIP, as VoIP has certainly become just non-functional, and then move on to other features, as we heard about at CitizenCon, like org features, multi-crew roles, like being a captain and allocating permissions and delegating work and much more. It is an exciting system that will open up a huge range of potential when it comes to interacting with other players in the verse, and I am very excited to see these updates roll out, especially when it comes to more org features. Now, one of the other very positive aspects of getting server meshing implemented into the PU is how it opens the doors to many features and systems that were held up by not having it. The system's getting refactored for one, not really being able to get those important and very negatively impactful aspects of Star Citizen fixed, like elevators and transit systems. They have been such a major cause of pain for Cloud Imperium and ourselves, to the point that they have literally become a meme. New features like ship scanning, radars, the signature system can finally get updated as well, now that we have server meshing properly handling the transition of players from one server to another. This will expose a ton of new dynamic and systemic gameplay, as we can use these systems to actually work as intended, which in turn means professions like proper bounty hunting can come along, being able to track your bounty from one location to the next as they move about, or learn clever ways to mask your signatures so that you can cover your tracks if you are being hunted. Exploration, probably one of the most anticipated professions, has been held up by the lack of server meshing, and now will be a possibility. Now, this is not to say that we will see either bounty hunting or exploration come this year. I certainly hope so, or at least see certain aspects of it pick up work again, but the fact that server meshing is here means they are no longer held up by the lack of this. Now, outside of all of these, there is a lot of other things that are in the works and should continue to progress throughout this year, some of which I am pretty much 100% confident that we will see come along this year, but others we will just have to wait and see. And this includes everybody's favourite master modes and the flight model. We have heard and will see many more big updates to all areas of flight, more balancing and dialing everything in. The current flight model will be changing quite a bit. It is nowhere near final, but some updates that we should see include what they outlined during the IAE for the differences in each of the modes, ailerons, flaps, controllable surfaces for atmospheric flight, making it feel much more realistic, and further balance to the ship loadouts, their abilities, and strengths and weaknesses. The economy will also see further balance and tuning to it, not so much as drastic as we have seen with 4.0, but alterations here and there just to bring any outliers back in line. Other aspects that I'd love to see get further fleshed out, but have no idea if this is the year we will see them, are the law and criminality side of things, giving more structure to how criminals are dealt with, making it more interesting for both criminal and non-criminal players. Insurance and warranty is another area that will help to address issues with things like salvage exploits, but also encouraging players to look after their ships being much more of a priority, getting it repaired versus just simply claiming it on insurance. Of course, the bugs need to be gone first before they can properly expand this system, but I'm hoping we'll hear more about that this year. But finally, Maelstrom, the physical damage system, probably one of the most impactful and interesting systems in the works right now. I really hope to see parts of this or just this system begin to roll out this year, seeing ships and buildings and other aspects in-game taking on this systemic, physical, realistic feature will take Star Citizen to a whole new level in many areas, and I can't wait to see how and where this impacts the persistent universe. Very much hope we hear more about that in 2025. So that is what to expect when Cloud Imperium get back to the offices. I didn't want to go too far ahead in terms of speculating what 4.3, 4.4 and whatever else will contain. I thought let's just start with Star Citizen 4.0, 4.1, 4.2 and all the interim patches. But Star Citizen 4.0 was a success in the sense that server meshing is working amazingly and brought with it much needed, much hoped for performance optimizations for both server FPS and client FPS, but it was also a huge mess, making it completely unplayable for many backers. So first off, it is getting it working, getting it playable for everybody, and then introducing the stuff that was pushed out of the initial release. And then comes the new content that was held up by server meshing, much of which we saw and heard about at CitizenCon. So once they have sorted out these issues, it is onwards and upwards, and I am really excited for 2025, starting with 4.0.1. Now, before I go, we have a GameGlass annual pass to give away, giving you 12 months of GameGlass, which will allow you to transform your phone and tablet into your ship's dashboard. A massive thank you to GameGlass for providing this giveaway, and to be in with a chance of winning, simply be a subscriber here on YouTube and comment on any video that I put out between now and next Sunday's video, letting me know what you would use GameGlass for if you were to win. And in a week, I'll pick out a comment at random, and that will be the winner. Now, you can also get 30% off any GameGlass purchase by stacking the 20% off code, which is 2024 YE promo, and my 10% SMB code, and that offer will be running until the end of the year. But with that said, If you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. I will be streaming Monday, Wednesday, not this Wednesday coming because it's New Year's Day, but Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays between 2 and 6 PM GMT here on YouTube and over at Twitch. The link is below. You are all more than welcome, whether you are a new backer or a veteran. It is a pleasure to hang out with you all. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Cannot do this without you guys, so thank you so much for the support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.